I'll give you all a little tease for next month. Next month our speaker will be Rachel Bush, and Rachel works for the economic development of Lee County. And her job is strategic projects manager. So she's got a long. She could spend her whole talk telling about what her job name is, but. She's working a lot with the exciting things that are going on in North Fort Myers, and there's a bunch of stuff going on. I know I just heard that Birch's Crossing just was sold here recently, so that's exciting to get some new blood in there. And we've got the big shopping center. What's the shopping center that's off 41 where the old Walmart was?
Hancock Bridge Square.
Hancock Bridge Square. It would be nice to build that up. That would really make our little area exciting and full of excitement. So our speaker today is Dennis Kunkler, and Dennis and I were just joking about how sometimes that people's names get missaid a little bit, and then people always missay my last name, and he was saying that he always was called Clunker when he was younger. But Dennis comes to us through Toastmasters, though I don't know that that's what he's going to talk about today. He's the president of the local Toastmasters. Been in our neighborhood for about 3 years, and he calls himself semi-retired. So you work 40 hours instead of 60 hours a week. I guess that's semi-retired. Something I didn't know about Dennis, though, that I think is kind of exciting is that he is the co-author of this book, Create the Business Breakthrough You Want, Secrets and Strategies from the World's Greatest Mentors. And he has some other books that I'm sure that he will tell you about. So please join me in welcoming Dennis Kunkler.
Thank you, and welcome North Fort Myers Chamber of Commerce. What I'd like to talk about today is a couple of facts and some questions to ask to make your business better. I spent my career as a designer and creative director at various agencies in the Northeast, and I've worked on many national brands, many international brands, and I've had some hands-on, behind-the-scenes contact with them. And so what I've learned over the years is a lot about what branding really is. But more importantly, most people don't understand is positioning. And what I consider myself is a strategic positioning person. And if you don't know what that is, part of what I'm going to tell you about is kind of giving you an idea of what that's all about. First thing to know is something about your customers. Your customers don't care about you. Period. They don't care. They don't care about what you have to sell. They don't care how big your company is, how many people you have, how many trucks you have. You know those big pictures that you put all the people out in front of the building? They don't care about that. That's for you. That's for you and your employees. Your customers only care about what they get. The moment they don't get that, they will go somewhere else. So your job is to basically be giving them what they want. That's the bottom line. And I'd like to illustrate this by a story. How many of you have been fishing? Okay, we got a few fishermen. This is about bass fishermen. And I realized this one day when I was up north sitting in the lake in the back of my boat, and I was watching bass fishermen all around me. There was a fishing tournament going on. These guys were professionals. They were dressed to the T's. They looked like race car drivers. They had these outfits on and logos of their sponsors, and they had these fancy sunglasses. We very expensive gear. They had the best rods and reels. Some of their boats were $80,000. These were beautiful, and they were just with humongous engines on them to get across the lake fast. Now the fish, they didn't care. They didn't care what this guy was driving or what he had. All they cared about was what they got. Now those bass fishermen, being the professionals they were, they knew everything about those fish. They knew when they were going to bite, where they were going to bite, how they were going to bite. They knew everything about that lake, the temperature of the water, how deep various sections were, where the fish were going to be. They knew their customers. They knew everything about the fish, and what did they do? They gave the fish exactly what they wanted. You know the difference between a hunter that goes out in the woods and looks for animals? What do the animals do? They run away. What do the fish do when the fishermen give them exactly what they want? They attract them. And you should think about attracting people in your business. By knowing what your customers want and giving them what they want, when they want, and how they want it, you're going to attract customers and keep attracting them, because as long as you're giving them what they want, they will be interested. Now, the next question, the next concept is also a question, and that's why. The word why. You should know your company's why. Why would someone give you the time of day to listen to your story? Why would they be interested? What is your because? Because is the answer to why. So if whatever you sell, you have to have something that differentiates your product or service to what they're looking for. Why is the most important answer to have? Now, just to give you an illustration of how important the word why is. Like many of you, I've been out Saturday morning doing all the errands, and go to the grocery store, and I forgot what I came for. How many have done that? You go to the grocery store, why is the most important question to answer? Why did I go to the store? Because all of the other questions, who, what, when, where, and how, don't matter until you know why. But once you know why you went, all of the other questions become logistical. Right? Why is very important. The next concept is there are only 3 ways to grow a business. Only 3. Number 1, get more customers. Number 2, get them to come back more often. And number 3, get them to spend more each time they come. Okay? Any one of those, if you increase any one of those 3 things by a percentage, you can grow your company by that percentage. Now, if you think about this, if you were to grow each of those areas by 1/3, say you got 33% more customers, and you got them to come back 33% more times, and you got them to buy 33% more on each visit, you will, if you did that in a year, you will more than double your business. So that's how you grow your business exponentially rather than just fractionally. 3 ways to grow your business. The next area I'd like to cover is positioning. I spoke a little bit about that before. Positioning isn't one of those sexy words like branding. Everybody is talking about branding these days. A lot of people don't know what branding really is. It's not a logo. It's not just what the logo represents. That's part of what branding is. But branding starts out first by defining who your customer is. then you have to understand what those customers get. And then you have to differentiate what it is that you do that's different. When you understand those things, then you can create a brand speaking to those people for those reasons. So, branding first came out in 1969. There was a seminal book called Branding, the Battle for Your Mind. Now, you wonder what's your mind, what's the battle for your mind got to do with that? And what it is positioning is about holding real estate in other people's brains. And I'll show you how that works. There's a lot of companies that we know about that have famous companies with famous taglines. What's the tagline for KFC? Finger looking good. What's the tagline for Nike?
Just do it.
Good. What if I reversed it around and I said, good to the very last drop? Nationwide.
On your side.
On your side. Those companies own real estate in your brains because you know that, just like that. Okay? And I'm sure you remember some from when you were little children. You remember slogans and so forth. That's what positioning does. It holds that piece in your brain. And companies that do that over and over and over, and when it's congruent, when it makes sense, you remember. And oftentimes you don't remember as well if it's not a good connection. There's a local one here. Morgan & Morgan.
For the people.
For the people. Would you go to him to represent your company?
No.
It's for the people. So, I'm sorry?
You guys know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there you go.
Very good.
But anyway, the point is it's a memorable slogan, and it's tied to them, and it's not only a slogan, but it defines who they are and what they do. And that is when a tagline works best. One that I remember when I was young was Kellogg's Frosted Flakes. They're great. And we still see the Tony the Tiger doing that. That's how they own real estate in your mind. Now, a lot of that's done by repetition over and over. They've spent a lot of money on advertising for you to hear that over and over, and that's what eventually embeds it. But the better your tagline fits your company and what you do, if it tells a complete story, the name of your company and the tagline, that's when it works best for you, as opposed to ABC Company in business since 1959. It asks more questions, like who are you and what do you do, as opposed to coming up with a slogan that tells your entire story. Now, a lot of times I used to design a lot of packaging, and the companies that I would work for, especially smaller companies, didn't know what their positioning was. And over the years, I developed a very simple way for you to create positioning for your company. Now, if you read marketing books, positioning talks about the 4 Ps and all of that. And, it's very academic and it's boring as heck. And I think my way cuts to the chase much better and accomplishes the same thing. And it breaks down to 3 questions. Who are you talking to? What do they get? And why should they buy it from you? Very simple. It's simple, but to get to the answer of each one of those takes some work. But it's good homework for your company. Define who your customer is, like the bass fisherman. Know everything about them. Have a picture of your ideal customer. Now, obviously, some of your businesses are going to have a wide spread, but ultimately, you're going to have an ideal customer, the one that fits the kind of person that you would love to have most of your customers be. Define who that person is, even put a picture up of who they look like, male or female, or both, what age, what socioeconomic group do they come from, about that person and define the reasons that they're an ideal customer for you. Okay, why is that person ideal? And it's going to apply to your particular business. Once you have that profile, the next thing you need to define is what do they get when they purchase from you? And it's not, they don't get your product or service. What else, if you break it down and say, and then what, and then what, and then what, until you can't say and then what anymore, then you find out what they buy for. Oftentimes, it comes down to an emotional answer. If you're selling sump pumps, and you're a plumbing supply dealer, you're selling sump pumps, they're not buying a pump, they're buying security, they're buying safety. If their basement floods, that's going to protect their belongings. It's going to protect the health of their family because mold's going to develop in the house. All of the reasons that they benefit from that sump pump. It's not that it's a horse and a half and it's got a blue switch here and a red switch and it's nice and nicely painted. That doesn't matter. It's what the customer gets. So define what your customer gets from your product or service. And third, why should they buy that from you? What makes you so different? Why couldn't they buy that from someone else? So again, start adding up all the reasons that they would buy that from you. How do you differentiate yourself from any of your competition? And if you can take their name and put it on your advertising, or you can take your name and put it on their advertising, then all you are is a me too. There's nothing different about what you're doing than the other guy is doing, unless you're bringing more value to the table. Now, what's value? The more value you add to what you're doing, if you think of in terms of your offerings as a scale, okay? The more value you add, the less resistance there is to making the purchase. Value added. Now, what's value added? It can be tangible value or it can be intangible value. Something as simple as a guarantee is an intangible, but it may be the difference that tips the scales from someone purchasing from you. If I had a notebook right here, and it's a nice leather bound notebook in it, and it's got a pad in there and a nice pen, and I said, just out of the cold, and I said, would you buy this for $20? And probably, no, I'm not interested. Okay, well, if I do this deal with some other companies, they're going to give me coupons. So I'm going to have maybe $100 worth of coupons from other stores. That goes in the package. Would you now buy this for $20? Probably depends on what those coupons were. Okay, 2 of those coupons are for the cinemas down in Fort Myers to go to an IMAX movie. 2 free tickets for an IMAX movie. Another coupon is $100 off at Bed Bath & Beyond. Okay, now would you buy this notebook for $20? Okay. You didn't want it a minute ago. Okay, if I throw in some more stuff, you get to the point where that's got more value than the actual product has. I added value to it. Now that value added could have been from deals that I made with other companies. Okay, you do something for me, I'll do something for you. So whatever I'm selling, I'm going to give them coupons to get customers into my place. And most of your businesses, if you had the opportunity to get a brand new customer for $5 or for $10 out of your pocket, would you pay for that customer? Knowing what the lifetime value of one of your customers is now? Okay? So spending that cash per isn't that much when you think about it. That lifetime value of the customer is something that we really should think about with all of your customers. Who's your typical customer? How much do they spend per year? How many years do you expect them to be with you? That's the lifetime value of that customer. And so what would you pay to get one of those? Would you give away coupons? Would you do some other joint ventures with other companies? That's all value added. Thank you. Any questions? Okay. I have this book. It's a book that I did with Brian Tracy. Anybody heard of him? Mark Victor Hansen. Anybody heard of him? Robert G. Allen. Money down. Anyway, they were people that I wrote this book with. If anyone can answer my question, I'll give you my autographed copy. Ready? What are the 3 questions? Yes.
Who am I talking to? What do they get? And why should they buy from me?
Very good.
Any other questions that I can answer that may relate specifically to your business? I charge $2.50 an hour to do this. So pick my brain.
My question is, do you have other books to buy?
I have another book that's coming out soon. It's called The Book on Branding. And it's basically the inside secrets that you need to know to really take your business to the top of your marketplace. By understanding branding, or not necessarily branding, but positioning for your company, there are definite ways to do that. So that one's coming out. You can go to my website, thebookonbranding.com. You can either send me a message from that site or sign up for a free article. I have an article on there right now on, for those that sell their talents as their business, how to get higher value clients than you're getting right now. And the book, as soon as the book is finished, which should be soon, I'm going to be giving the book away free for anyone that signs up for my mailing list on thebookonbranding.com. And what's nice about it is that when I finish speaking, I can say, I wrote the book.
If you want to know the spelling of Dennis's name so you can look him up for his book, it's K-U-N. K-U-N-K-L-E-R. Okay. I heard lifetime value of the customer. I don't know how many remember back to my February newsletter. I actually spoke about that a little bit. So, and I hear it out with these marketing geniuses. I call them geniuses. So, it must be something to it. You need to know the lifetime value of your customer will help you determine how much your marketing plan or how much you're going to spend on your marketing. Jeff, thank you. Dennis, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Before we do our